Welcome, everybody. My name is Kara Gilman, and I'm the AP Statistics teacher at North High School. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about myself, about the class, and about maybe what you might expect to see your student doing. So about me first, I was born in Riverside. I'm a North High School graduate. I graduated from North in 1995. So I've been a student at North. I've been a teacher at North for 22 years. And now I'm also a parent at North. I have a son who's a sophomore. So a little bit education-wise, I went to UCR. I got my bachelor's degree in mathematics from UCR. And then I went and got my master's degree in education and my teaching credential from Claremont Graduate University. And then that was it for about 20 years, and then, well, maybe 18 years. And then a few years ago, I decided I just missed being in school. So I did an online program for a master's degree in mathematics, which I finished up in 2016 through Emporia State University in Kansas. So like I said, I've been teaching math for 22 years at North. If you need to get in touch with me, this is the information to do that. Email is probably the easiest way, but if you need an answer more quickly, you could use the phone or sign up for Remind so that you can send me text messages. I really try to be on top of answering those things within 24 hours. So what's AP Stats all about? The basic idea is we have all this information that comes at us all the time in the world. And statistics is a way of using math to understand and analyze that information, whether it's something you're hearing in social media, reading in a textbook, print media, any of those things, whether it's a science experiment you're conducting or that you're reading about, all this information that comes to us from all sorts of different sources. This is a way for us to understand and analyze that information. The focus in our class is on conceptual understanding and interpreting and communicating results, much less than it is on calculation. So most of our calculations are going to be done with technology. We'll do a little bit by hand, but almost all of it will be done with technology. Right now, we're mostly using online applets since we're in this environment. A graphing calculator will be required if we are in person when we take the AP exam. They will not be able to access those online applets. So for right now, I haven't been requiring the students to have a graphing calculator because we've been able to use these online software instead. But at some point, students will need to get a graphing calculator. And the type of graphing calculator that you would need to get is in the syllabus, but the two best ones would be either the Casio FX 9750 or the TI 84. Those two are probably the easiest ones to use for statistics. And that Casio, make sure it's the graphing calculator, but the Casio is much less expensive. So I would recommend that if you're buying it yourself, but if you have a hand-me-down, probably most people use the TI. It's a lot more popular. We also will be using some statistical software packages, a little bit, not a lot, just mostly looking at output from statistical software and also interacting with some free versions of those things. All right, so syllabus is posted in Google Classroom under classwork. You also submitted a signature form for that at the beginning of the year, so hopefully that will look familiar if you go take a look at it. Our course is designed to help prepare students for the AP Stat exam in May and to just help them understand, like I said, the statistics that they see and read every day. And also a graphing calculator, like I said, is required for the class, but right now I'm sort of holding off on that while we're in this environment because our online materials are working fine. Our class sessions, our live sessions consist of task-based instruction. So what that means is students work on a task for a while first, and then we come together and solidify what they learn working on that task by taking some notes or having a class discussion to make sure that we're formalizing what we learned by experiencing that task. Every day they'll have some daily practice problems for their independent work time. And then there's a longer weekly assignment, which consists of some reading from the textbook and some released AP free response questions. Those are due every Monday. This is how the grades break down. The biggest chunk is chapter tests, but the chapter tests right now for this year, we have two parts. There's a multiple choice test, and then there's a chapter project at the end of every chapter that also counts as a test grade. So even though that says chapter tests are 50%, Really, it's 25% of multiple choice test and 25% an end of chapter project. So if you would like to look at your students' Google Classroom, everything that you need is mostly going to be under classwork. The stream will contain some announcements and reminders, but classwork is where all their assignments are. And students are expected to check their email and their Google Classroom every day in case that they get information from me. These are just a few of the different online apps we're using in class. Jamboard is like a group whiteboard. We use Desmos a lot for some interactive class activities. Staplet is where we're doing most of our statistical calculations. A lot of students are using Kami to take notes and write out their work because that way they can do it on their Chromebook or their computer. And we're using AP Classroom, which is a College Board platform. That's the same people who put out the AP exam, and we're using that platform for our exams and for some practice problems. So this is what we would typically see in your class at the end of a class period. So I just want to show you kind of what a typical task looks like. A lot of your students are using Kami, so theirs will be typed instead of written. Like mine, it's about half and half. So basically, in this particular activity, students recorded how far everybody in their small group lives from school, and then we learned to calculate standard deviation using that data. So that's something we're doing a lot, is calculating or collecting data from our classmates and then using that data to learn our procedures. So everything that's in pencil here, this is the work that we do first. So on this first page, they worked together, they solved these problems, and then later we go back in another color and we annotate, make sure we're getting all the big ideas out of the activity so that you're getting the concepts down after we've experienced them. So all of this in red is sort of formalizing what we learned. And then we always have kind of a summary box at the end that says, okay, what big ideas did we cover today? What do I need to know about them? And then those short daily assignments are usually this check for understanding on the right where it says check your understanding. That's usually their short daily assignment that just does what it says. We're checking our understanding of what we learned that day. Attendance is taken at the beginning of class, but I do continue to check it throughout the class period, so students need to stay logged into the Google Meet for the duration of the class time. Behavior is not usually an issue, except right now, most students don't have their cameras on, which it's okay, but it makes it a little difficult for me to make sure that they're eliminating their distractions and that when they're present during live class sessions, they're really present. So mostly that's reflected in student grades. If you see that your student's not doing well, one thing you might want to ask is what's going on during that class session? Are they really participating in that class session? So the other thing I expect them to do is keep pushing when something is hard, not to give up, and then just to interact respectfully with each other and with me, which has been great so far. One other big piece is academic integrity, that all of the work they turn in is their own and nobody else's, and that they only receive assistance from other people on things that they're allowed to. So for example, not on a test. So you'll hear from me if that becomes a problem. So how should you monitor your students' progress? Grades are updated regularly in Aries. I really try to be on top of that as close as I can to doing it every day. And you can access Aries through the Aries Parent Portal on your computer or through the Aries phone app. If you need help setting up that account, just let the North office know and someone will help you. So that's all I've got. Thank you so much for watching and for being a partner in your child's education. Please send me an email if you have any questions.